We're live. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. All of my viewers, all of my followers, thank you so much for joining. I am the Latino American, the American Latino. Let's do this. Internet's most based Latino. So, I'm going to do another live today. This one's going to be kind of short. I'm just going to hit a few topics and that I wanted to discuss as usual. And we will try to be as concise as possible. Like I said, I'm still working on getting StreamYard and the ability to show you guys clips while we're doing the live. I still haven't quite figured that out. Again, TikTok is new to me. I'm primarily on YouTube. Please go sub to my YouTube. All my links are in my bio. Click on the link tree. That'll bring you to all of my social media, which you can subscribe, like, please, thanks, appreciate it. All right, let's get started. So, on the agenda today, the first topic we're going to talk about, because it seems to be the biggest right now, is the upcoming government shutdown, or as I like to call it, oh, nice, I unlocked Superfan. I'm not really sure what that is. If you guys want to chime in the comments, let me know what some of these TikTok things are. Please do. Like I said, I'm new to TikTok, so it is what it is. So, the Schumer shitdown, as I like to call it, or shutdown, now, I did get a chance to go back and, since my other live, I did get a chance to go back and see basically what the proposal was. And the proposal, essentially, why it's getting shut down is because Chuck Schumer wants to give $1.2 trillion. Let me just say that again. $1.2 trillion to illegal immigrants for healthcare. And it's really funny because somebody said, well, the Democrats showed up and the Republicans didn't. Okay, well, first of all, we have a Republican president, and Speaker Johnson, Speaker of the House, who's also a Republican, was in the meeting as well with Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer. So how did the Republicans not show up? What are you talking about? I mean, this is the problem. You have uneducated people making ridiculous statements, and then that gets disseminated around as if it's truth. It's not. The proposal, which is pretty fair and square, I mean, almost every single time this comes about, there's usual consensus that both sides are getting what they want. Well, in this instance, the left wants $1.2 trillion to go to illegal immigrant health care. Now, I don't know about you, but that doesn't really make much sense to me, considering the fact that these people are essentially, not only have these people broken the law, but they've broken the law and now we're going to give them free health care? Does that make any sense at all? I mean, they're going to be deported. Who the hell cares if they get health care? I mean, they shouldn't be afforded anything, quite frankly, at the expense of the taxpayer. Because remember, any government program that gets put out there, any subsidy that comes in, is because the American people have paid for it. It's in no way, shape, or form does the government create money, okay? They might print money, but printing money is totally different than actually creating money, right? Because creating money means you have a business, or you're in some sort of trade where there's an exchange of goods. And that exchange of goods allows you to turn a profit, which means you're creating money out of thin air, essentially, just basically on agreements to trade. Printing money is completely different. Printing money is essentially you are deflating the value of the dollar. You are deflating the money because there's more of it. This is why something like Bitcoin, cryptocurrency in general, is so amazing, because it completely bypasses the capturing of finance. What does that mean? It just means that it's not run by a single entity that can control it. It's not run by a government that can decide at the flip of a dime that they want to turn off the valve, essentially, and make all of their people not have the ability to purchase things. It doesn't devalue the purchasing power over time. In fact, it grows because at least with Bitcoin anyway, there's a finite supply. There's only going to ever be a certain X amount of it. So as more people acquire it, it becomes more rare and more rare and more rare. It's like, think about it like diamonds or gold. It's the digital equivalent. Why? Because diamonds if you don't know, diamonds get made through a heat process. So for example, a comet smashes into the ground, right? It hits so hard, so fast, and causes such a dynamic heat explosion that diamonds form. That's how hard and heavy and heat-oriented the diamond process is. That's why there's diamond mines. The mines come from previous comet hits, essentially, that created such a blast of heat that it turned the sand and the dust basically into diamonds. So there's a little bit more to it, but that is the basis of it. And so you can only get certain amount of diamonds, right? Same thing with gold. Gold is dug up from the ground, right? It's harvested. It's an ore at first, and then it becomes mineralized to actual coins and actual necklaces and whatever else. It's a softer metal, so you can do a lot more things with it. But there's only going to be a finite supply. You only get it from the ground. People cannot create gold. That's why if you've ever seen these old monk rituals that were attempting to turn steel into gold, that were attempting to turn iron into gold. There were spells that would magically turn other metals into gold. Well, the reason being is because those other metals are plentiful. A lot of them are created by man. Gold, diamonds, those things are not created by man. Those things are created completely by nature. And so there will only ever be a finite supply unless you dig up more or you find more. That's kind of how that works. So in that sense, the value goes up the more it becomes scarce. Okay, so that's the difference. That's the main difference between them. So why does any of that matter? Who gives a shit? Like, American Latino, what are you talking about? That who cares? Okay, well, the reason why it matters is because if the government is going to give out $1.2 trillion to illegal immigrants, you have to understand that not only does that devalue, and if they're going to print it, that's even worse, because not only does it devalue the dollar, meaning since the 1960s when we were taking off the gold standard, Fort Knox, if anybody knows, Fort Knox rings a bell because we were taking off the gold standard in the 60s. And essentially what that meant was we're going to move to a fiat currency system. The fiat currency system just means that anytime we need more money, we print it. All right. So that's why we're $35 trillion in debt, because we continuously print more money without having a finite supply. So the value of the dollar keeps going down over time as more money gets printed. It's really simple economics. You just have to educate yourself. But that said, they don't want to budge because they know very simply that their voters are sick and tired of all the things that are going on, and they are basically on the last cusp of hanging on by a thread. And at least from what I can tell, in their mind, if they can get all of these illegal voters, that's what I'm alluding to. If they can get all these illegal people in here, start getting them on government benefits, start getting them on the teat of the American government system, then essentially they think that they'll become nationalized citizens and will vote for them. Because, I mean, let's be honest, if you're in a third world country and you're coming to America and your sole purpose is you want a better life, well, are you going to vote for the person that's telling you that they're going to kick you out, they're going to deport you? Or are you going to vote for the people that are telling you, hey, we're going to give you free housing, we're going to give you free money, we're going to give you free healthcare, just come here and we will give you all these amazing free things. And then once you're here for a certain amount of time, then we can nationalize you and then you can vote for us, right? That's the only way, in my opinion, that the Democrats are ever going to stay in power, because too many Americans see through their bullshit, right? There's a funny trope that Americans are stupid, they're uneducated, the vast majority of them, they don't pay attention to politics. Who cares? No one cares. Well, a lot of people care. And even more people are starting to care. Even more people are sick and tired of the nonsense, the bullshit. And the only way one can stay in power is if they have a truly convincing argument that they are representing the people. Remember, here in Connecticut, well, that's where I'm from, a blue state. But here in the United States, we elect officials to represent our voices. Okay? So what does that mean? It just means that there's too many of us, right? So we need to have one representative from each state, or I think there's multiple, but we'll just go with a simple analogy. We have one person that speaks for us, and all the people in that state vote for them to represent us. And then they go to DC and they speak on our behalf. Because there's so many differing voices, so many differing people in a specific state, there needs to be like one actual voice that gets heard, that gets proposed on when things are getting voted on, when decisions need to be made. Otherwise, we wouldn't have elected officials, right? So that's why we have them. So that's the main reason. So if you're getting free stuff constantly, right? You never have to pay for anything. You don't have to go to work. You could stay home and you still get paid. Why would you ever not want to do that, right? Of course you're going to want to do that because you don't have to do anything. You just sit back and you get everything handed to you. Work is tough. Life is tough, right? And making money, making a living, making your life what you want it to be is tough. It's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would be, a millionaire. So it is absolutely tough, and it involves risk. And the problem is that a lot of people don't want to do the risk. Okay, so that's where this anger and this resentment comes from the left when they say, when they're praising somebody like Luigi Mangione, who killed the healthcare CEO in New York, shot him dead in the middle of the street. That's why he's hailed as a hero, because he took out one of those CEOs who makes billions of dollars and is denying all this healthcare to everybody. Well, that CEO happens to just be a figurehead of a corporation that was started by somebody who took a risk. They put all of their money, all of their finances, they took all the risk, right? That's the thing. Nobody wants to account for the risk. They just want to say, well, they just stole, right? There's an injustice here. They stole from all of the workers. All the workers should be the ones who hold the power. Guys, that is communism, straight up. That is communism. The good and the will of the people override everything else because they're oppressed. That's not true. That's not true. It never has been. At least not in America. That's not what we're founded on. We're founded on people, when they say pick yourself up by the bootstraps, when they say, you have the American dream right in front of you, you can achieve anything you want. That is absolutely true, but it comes with risk, right? Most small businesses fail within the first 2 years. Why? Well, it's very simple. There wasn't a highly enough calculated risk, and the risk assessment done did not see the future. That's why most businesses fail. They need to look beyond just the first 2 years, and they need to make a high enough risk assessment. Is this going to be worth it? Am I going to be able to turn a profit, or am I going to be on a sinking ship? And the vast majority of them, unfortunately, they're on a sinking ship. However, some of them, right? Some of them that take the risk and they do a calculated risk assessment, they're smart about it, and they're able to become millionaires and billionaires. Guys, last year we had more millionaires than the universe has ever seen. Okay, so this notion that you can't do whatever you want in terms of climbing the ladder in America is complete bullshit. Okay, so if that wasn't true, why would we have everybody and their mother and brother from across the world coming to America, trying to get in? Okay, they wouldn't be coming here simply for the fact that they're going to get free healthcare, right? That's bogus. Anyone that says that is just a moron. So you just got to realize that is why they're coming here, so that they can have a better life. And a better life means, at least for the Democrats, it means, well, you come here and you get all the free shit as long as you vote for us. And then eventually we'll nationalize you, we'll make you citizens, and then you can vote for us. Well, the American people aren't dumb, right? We see through that very clearly. The majority of us see through that very clearly, and it's complete bullshit. So I don't think there'll be a shutdown. I think in the end they'll come around and most likely they're going to cave, and there'll be some concessions. We'll probably end up having to give some money to fund some of these programs, but I don't think outright we're going to agree to $1.2 trillion for illegal immigrants. I'm sorry, I just don't think that's going to happen. I don't think anybody on the right, I don't think the right base would be positive. That would be a positive thing. I think we would. And the problem too is that this is what I was talking about in my other live with Pam Bondi is like they do things and then they start backtracking once we make our voice heard. Right? It should be the other way around. We make our voice heard, and they're doing the things that we made our voice heard about, as opposed to it seems to be the inverse. They do something, and then we speak up and say, "No, that's bullshit. You did the wrong thing." Okay, well now we're going to backtrack, right? That's the problem with representative government. We just got to make sure that the people that you put in, the people that you like. This is why people say, well, who cares about voting? Why do I want to vote? Voting matters, guys. It matters. It matters. You may be one person, but just imagine if every one person thought that same way. Well, I don't need to vote because the system's rigged. My vote doesn't count. Who cares? Whatever. Okay, well, it matters. It matters because all the people that don't think like that, they are going to go and vote. And what's going to happen? They're going to get their people in that listen to them and enact their laws and ideas. That's why voting is so important. And that's why the floodgates were opened to allow all these illegal immigrants in so that people could essentially flood the country with people they think are going to eventually become citizens. Now, I don't think that's going to happen because, as you saw this past November, the mass majority of Americans voted overwhelmingly to not let that happen. Okay, that's why Trump got a second term. I think the second president in history to have a first term lose the second attempt at coming back and then actually on the third attempt get reelected. I think the only other president that did that was Grover Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken. You can fact check me on that. But we'll see what happens. Technically, right now, the government's shut down, but really, in I believe now it's 7.5 hours. In 7.5 hours, we'll actually know whether or not one side caved because they're not going to let it shut down. They can't. Why? Well, because basically the entire economy would collapse overnight if that were to happen. So every time we get down to the wire, somebody caves and concessions are made, and the government gets funded, and then it keeps going on. So that was just the first topic I want to talk to. Like I said, this isn't going to be a really long live. We were a little rambly last time, and I'm getting StreamYard set up so I can show you guys clips and stuff when we blast through some of these other things. But the other topic I wanted to talk about was, I don't know if you guys know, there's this YouTuber. He's also on X. His name's Nick Shirley, and he's from Portland, Oregon. And just last night, there was a peaceful protest in Portland. I think it was for the ICE facility there. It's always for the ICE facility, but I think it was for the ICE facility there. And if you go look at his YouTube, his X account, he posted a video showing that while he was there, he was getting accosted by Antifa members. And this one particular Antifa member was basically telling him, was all up in his face, telling him, you get the hell out of here. Why are you here? Yeah, I know who you are. You're a piece of shit. And it's fine. They are allowed to do that. They're allowed to get up in your face. They can say whatever the hell they want. They can say, well, they can't say whatever the hell they want. I'll get to that in a minute. But they can basically tell you, to fuck off. However, what they can't do is threaten your life, okay? Because then you cross a line, right? I can tell you you're a piece of shit for voting for Donald Trump. I can tell you you're a piece of shit for being America first. What I can't tell you is that, quote unquote, I'm going to smoke you if I see you come around here again. That's an active threat, right? That is an active threat. Essentially what that means is they're going to kill you, right? It's an intimidation tactic to get you away from whatever it is that you're there for, whether that's to be a protest or it could be anything. But in other words, this person was basically threatening Nick Shirley's life. So if you go look at the video clip, what's insane is that this protest, there were DHS, Department of Homeland Security agents positioned on rooftops because, let's face it, the last couple days, last week, there's been multiple incidents. We have not gone, I just heard this the other day, since the assassination of Charlie Kirk, we have not gone 3 days without having some sort of leftist violent attack. Now, people will say, well, what about the LDS church shooting that just occurred? That was from a right-winger. He was Republican. Well, we first of all, that was not a political attack. That was a religious attack. From what we can tell, this guy absolutely hated the Mormon church because he had a Mormon girlfriend who he got burned by, and I guess just harbored resentment for the Mormon church and decided that he was just going to go and indiscriminately kill people at this particular church. That's not a political attack. However, it still is an attack. But then you had people on X saying, oh, he's a Republican, he's a right-wing guy because, look, he's wearing a Trump shirt. And they showed this picture. Well, if you zoom in on the picture, the Trump shirt that he's wearing actually says, "Make America Cry Again," showing a picture of Trump crying. So basically what that means is he's not about Trump, okay? So he's not about America First. Whether he's a registered Republican or not is irrelevant because at least recently he does not like Donald Trump or the America First movement. So whatever they want to claim, everybody's out to claim these people now. Oh, well, he's right-wing, he's left-wing. It's irrelevant, at least in that instance. But anyway, they had DHS snipers on the roof, and Nick was pointing, trying to tell this guy, hey, look, man, stop. And you could see in the video that this DHS agent was had a rifle trained on this guy, ready to go, because he didn't know what he was going to do. This, like I said, just recently, the multiple attacks that we've had, people have been shooting and attempting to kill ICE agents. We had the attacker in, I think it was North Carolina or South Carolina, drove his boat up, started shooting people. Then we had the other guys that were shooting over 25 rounds into ICE agents from the tree line. Then we just had the ICE sniper who killed 2 deportees and I think might have wounded an ICE agent, but didn't actually kill any ICE agents, but he was attempting to. So that they're not going to take any chances anymore, guys. They're not going to take any more chances. So he was shining a light, flashing this guy, trying to let him know. And then Shirley pointed out he was being lasered. All right, he was being tagged. They call it being tagged, but it just basically means you can see a sniper laser. I mean, they do this all the time in the movies, but in reality, it rarely happens. In reality, you're not going to know. You're just going to get clipped like that. That's just the way it's going to be. But in a riot type situation, they might actually tag you and put a laser on so people can tell you, hey, look, you got somebody watching you. You do anything fucked up, they're going to take you out instantly. Now, I was watching Tim Pool. Tim Pool is so milquetoast. Like, it angers me because he's got such a big platform, but yet he says some of the stupidest things. But he also does say some great things. If you don't know who he is, he's a journalist. Was a journalist that now does a live show every day. So he was saying that he doesn't want to see some Antifa guy who's just talking shit get iced. Because he was just basically talking shit and then gets his head blown off. Okay, neither do I. Nobody does. Nobody wants to see that, right? The guy's got choices, though, right? He can choose to not be a prick and not cause a problem and not endanger somebody's life and not make a threat. Hey, I'm gonna smoke you if you ever come around here again. Okay, so he has the choice to do that. What happens beyond that are the consequences of the choice that he made. Okay, so Tim said, I would like to see, okay, the guy gets tagged and then some agent jumps out of the bushes and grabs him and then arrests him right then and there. Okay, well, I would like that too. But in the moment, they're not standing right next to Nick Shirley. They're not in the altercation. All they can see is this guy chasing this other guy down. It basically almost to the point of there's going to be a confrontation. It's about to get explosive. And then Nick pointed out, hey, man, you're being tagged. You're being watched. Get the fuck out of here. And so the guy backed off at that point. He said, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. He's just trying to be a badass. But that bravado is what could get him killed. But yeah, I agree with Tim on that. I don't want to see some guy getting iced because, unalived because he's just simply saying, bullshit. He's just spewing nonsense. But when it crosses the line into death threats, that's completely different, right? Because now you're saying that you're basically saying that you're going to commit an act of violence. A call to action is not covered by free speech, guys. So that's super important. Here in the States, you cannot make a call to action, whether it be yourself or other people, because that is not covered under free speech. Just means the government, okay, the government cannot come in and attack you for something you said. They can't imprison you for something you said. That does not stop the public from doing what they want. So these morons who are going out there saying this shit, they're seemingly forgetting that Americans can do what they want. They can make their own choices. They'll be held liable for their choices, and there will be consequences. But these guys seem to forget that a lot of Americans are getting to the point where they're sick and tired of it, especially on the right. They're not going to take it anymore. You keep pushing, you keep pushing, you keep pushing. Eventually, they're going to fight back, right? And let's be real. If the right wanted to go to war with the left, it would be over in less than a day. The right owns like 75% of the guns in this country. So, if they really wanted to take it to the left, it would be over in a day. Like I said, like I said in my previous live, anyone calling for civil war is a fucking moron because they have no idea what that really means, right? They just don't understand. And if everyone was so disgusted with the public execution and assassination of Charlie Kirk, everyone saw the video. So many people were horrified and shocked because they had never seen real, true violence in front of them, right? And it was horrifying and it was gruesome. And if you've never actually seen violence in front of you, true violence, it happens so fast and it's brutal and aggressive. And people just were shocked because of that. And it blew my mind because I thought people were more desensitized. Everyone talks about, where there's so much death and destruction around and everyone's desensitized to it. Yet when the video of Kirk getting assassinated came out, everyone was really, really shocked to the point where, it seemed like the entire country was reeling from it. And that's because the entire country had not truly, at least this generation, had truly not seen violence like that, political assassination. I've got the picture up here of Martin Luther King, Jesus, and Charlie. There's more guys up here, Abraham Lincoln, RFK and JFK. These guys were assassinated for simply speaking words, right? That's how powerful words can be. Everyone says words are not powerful. Words are just words. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Well, that's bullshit, guys. Words can kill you. They can kill you, and you better be ready to die for the things that you are espousing and saying, because in this day and age, we've come full circle since the 60s, right? If you're not educated on the past, you are doomed to repeat history, right? History is doomed to repeat itself. So with that said, you have to bear in mind, right? This new generation has to truly bear in mind that you are accountable for what you say. You can say it, right? And you have a First Amendment right. The government won't come in and do anything about it. But the people are not held to that standard. They will do what they want. And sure, they may get arrested and they may get put in prison. And anyone that does political violence should get arrested and the law should come down hard on them, right? Because let's face it, whether you're an anarchist or not, whether you're some crazed radical, we all live, at least here in the States. I know not everyone watching is from the States, but at least here in the States, we are a nation of laws, okay? And until that changes, right, until there is no more nation of laws, we have to abide by the law, right? And the law is going to come down really hard on you, and you will be held accountable for your actions, okay? So just bear that in mind, because a lot of these guys going around saying, I'm going to smoke you if you ever come back here, they're not realizing or thinking that anything bad is going to happen to them. That's the problem. They're so emboldened in these cities. They get out of jail for free. There's no more, there's cashless bail, so you don't have to pay bail. You don't have to sit in there for your trial, which is a fucking joke, because half these guys get off because they're all dressed in black and nobody can identify them, right, unless they got their DNA. And they're not going to, it just costs too much money to have a DNA analysis for somebody who is throwing, bricks through windows, right? It's just not going to happen. But we'll get to what I think some solutions could be to kind of tamper down the overwhelming temperature that keeps increasing on a daily basis. So another topic I wanted to talk about. And go subscribe to Nick's X account and his YouTube. Subscribe to mine too. Like I said in my bio, I've got a link tree with all of my socials. Please like, subscribe, follow, make comments. I appreciate all of it. All of my pages have been blowing up since I started posting, and I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you. But go subscribe to Nick. He's doing great work, on the ground journalism. I'm going to be going to Yale University in New Haven, Connecticut this weekend. So you may see my videos pop up on X or in your feed on YouTube, because I am as well going down to some of these protests here in Connecticut, and we'll be asking some of these people some of their thoughts and some thought-provoking questions, and hopefully I don't get attacked. We'll see. But stay tuned for that, so make sure you like and subscribe. Logan Frederico. Let's talk about Logan Frederico. Who's Logan Frederico? Remember that name, okay? Because like Irina Zarutska, the Ukrainian immigrant who came to the U.S. from war-torn Ukraine, left a war to come to the shining beacon of hope on the hill, the United States of America, only to be murdered, viciously murdered on a subway train. I think it was a train or a bus or whatever, on a public transportation by some deranged maniac who had over 14 arrests, multiple felonies, but yet was still let out of prison. In fact, I just found this out. The last time he was arrested, time number 15, he was deemed mentally incompetent to be taken to task for his actions, and yet he was still let out. The judge that said that was a leftist judge. He was appointed by liberals and said that I'm letting him out because justice is racist. That's bullshit. Guys, that's bullshit. That's total bullshit. Lady Justice is blind. That's why if you ever see the statue of the blindfolded Lady Justice holding the scale, holding the scales of justice, she's blindfolded for a reason, because it doesn't matter what color skin you have. It doesn't matter what your political leanings are. What matters is that justice stay blind so that it can be applied to anyone equally, right? That's what we all want. Equality is what we want. So that said, Logan Frederico, who is Logan Frederico? Logan Frederico was viciously murdered, execution style, by Alexander Devontae Dickey. You may have seen the clips of the father who was giving testimony to Congress and was so gut-wrenching, because this guy, I mean, just go Google it. Like I said, as we do these lives, as I get more accustomed to TikTok, I'll have the ability, hopefully, to show you the clips that I'm talking about. I'm still new to it, so I don't know how to maneuver everything on the TikTok platform, but I'm trying to set up StreamYard so that we can stream across multiple platforms, and then I'll be able to show you guys the actual clips and we can talk about them. But which is why I need you to like and subscribe. The more followers I get, the more likes I'll get, the more views I'll get, which means I'll be able to start doing ads, I'll be able to start getting money, and then be able to grow the show exponentially, and then it'll be better because I'll be able to show the stuff that I'm talking about. But he was giving a testimony to Congress, and his testimony to Congress was one of the most horrific things I've ever had to watch and sit through. You could see all of the people behind him while he was giving his testimony were crying, putting their heads down, a solemn look on their face, because they all know it's true. They all know it's true. Alexander Devontae Dickey was let out of prison 39 times. This guy was arrested 39 times, okay, and still let out. He was still on the street. He had over 25 felonies. Guys, violent crimes. These are not like, I went to the gas station and stole a candy bar. This is oh, I went to the gas station and robbed it for everything that it had and almost killed the clerk because I just felt like it, right? These are the types of crimes that this piece of shit was committing. And for whatever reason, once again, justice is racist. This animal was let out and killed Logan Frederico. Okay, 115 pounds soaking wet, 5'2", I think, 5'3", just had figured out that she wanted to be a teacher, her whole life ahead of her. And what happens? This maniac comes into her house, drags her out of bed naked, and executes her. Just straight up execution style, I believe it was to the back of the head, a gunshot. And, how this asshole was let out is just unfathomable. This is the type of shit that needs to stop. And how does it stop? It stops by implementing judges that take the law seriously and hold these people in jail. Like, everyone is so against the prison system. Everyone is so against jail. Oh my God, jail is so racist. There's the overwhelming majority of people in there are black or Hispanic, Latino. Look, I'm the American Latino, and I'm going to tell you that's bullshit. The overwhelming majority of these people are violent criminals. They are murderers, okay? Yes, sure, some people fall through the cracks, okay? Some people, there's mistakes made, right? We're only human. But to think that the overwhelming people of majority in jail and prison are nice guys, no, that's not true. That's total bullshit, all right? Total bullshit. The overwhelming people in prison are violent criminals. Don't take my word for it. Just go look up the statistics, right? Through reputable sources. Don't just look up Cato Institute or what was the other one? I forget the other one, but there's another institute that puts out crime statistics. Look at all of them, okay? And then look at who owns those institutes, who runs them, because that matters as well, because you might be getting a completely biased source that perpetuates bullshit, but clouds it as legitimate. And you would never know because, well, they're the Cato Institute, right? But when you dig deeper and you find out that the Cato Institute is actually run by an activist leftist who on January 21st was out promoting Antifa riots and was part of the riot, that changes your opinion a little bit about whether this person is actually giving you true information, right? At least it should. If you're a rational thinking U.S. citizen, you're going to say, okay, well, maybe I'm probably not getting an unbiased news source coming from somebody who is participating in Antifa riots, right? So go watch this congressional testimony because, man, it is terrible. Now, I don't know if it was, I think it was Congress, but it might have just been the local government of where this was. I can't remember where it was. I think it was one of the Carolinas, South or North Carolina, or I might be getting Irina Zrutska mixed up location-wise, but it's irrelevant. Okay, it's irrelevant. It's happening in the States. That's all that matters. If you're a citizen, that's all that matters, okay? So just bear that in mind. All right, so the next topic. And like I said, we're not gonna make this a super long live. I'm gonna try to wrap it up here soon because I don't want to ramble. And I do want to be able to show you guys the clips that I'm talking about. But it's okay. I'll mention them. We'll talk about them. And then hopefully you guys go do your own due diligence and don't just take my word for it. You go and listen and find these clips and check out some of the stuff that I'm talking about. So Dearborn, Michigan. There is an insane thing that's happening in Dearborn, Michigan. At 5 a.m., there are loudspeaker calls for Muslim prayer going on. Let me just say that again. Dearborn, Michigan, here in the United States, there's 5 a.m. loudspeaker calls for Muslim prayer. How is that possible, right? I get every town, every city is its own place. Every state is its own place. They have their own rules. Fine, great. The people there elect what happens. Okay, great. Well, in Dearborn, Michigan, hey, what's up, Panos? Thanks for joining. In Dearborn, Michigan, at 5 a.m., there's a call for Islam prayer, excuse me. I guess it's the same. Muslims pray Islamic prayer. A pastor, what's happening? I'm just going through a couple different topics. Right now, we're talking about Dearborn, Michigan, in the U.S. Is having an issue where at 5 a.m. there's a call to Islamic prayer, and a Christian pastor who was sick and tired of this, went to the. There's two stories. I don't want to get them mixed up, but this woman who went to this town hall was basically saying like, hey, we don't think it's right that at 5 a.m. there's calls for prayer, Muslim prayer, being blasted through the loudspeaker. It's a violation of the noise ordinance. And her argument was that it's a violation of the noise ordinance. Really, it did have something to do with the prayer call, but primarily it was that it's 5 a.m. and you're getting a loudspeaker call to go pray. And the town council basically said, well, we don't care because our town is primarily Muslim and recognizes Islamic prayer. So when they dug into it, they found out that, yes, that's true. It was a violation of the noise ordinance. And then you have morons saying, well, what about church bells, right? This was on Matt Walsh's program just yesterday. He was talking about it. Well, what about church bells? Well, church bells, first of all, don't happen at 5 a.m., waking everybody up. And Matt made a good point. Church bells are much nicer to listen to. Sorry, they just are. They're church bells. They're not somebody talking in a foreign language, espousing foreign prayer. Like, if you wanted that, then go back to your country. Like, why are you here? Why are you not assimilating to American society and culture? That's the problem. In another story, which I believe was Dearborn, Michigan, I will fact check myself on the next live, but there was a Christian pastor, who came up because they were trying to put a sign recognizing this radical Muslim person who, if I'm not mistaken, was accused or convicted of child molestation. And they were like, yeah, let's name a street after him. And this Christian pastor was like, yeah, how about let's not do that? I don't want to do that. I think that that's awful. And the mayor of the town literally said, well, you think that's awful because you're a racist bigot, and kicked this Christian pastor out of the town. Here in America, because he said he didn't want a street sign that was promoting a Muslim you-know-what. And so, that's insane, completely radical. And I don't know. That just blows my mind that is happening here in the United States. Like, they're getting captured. A bunch of places are getting captured by these radicals who are coming here trying to change the culture. They're not joining the culture. They're not assimilating, right? That's what we want. We don't mind immigrants that are coming here legally and who are assimilating into the culture, okay? We do mind people that are coming here and completely negating the culture. They don't want anything to do with it. They think it's an oppressive culture, and they're not assimilating. They're bringing their radical ideology here, and they're not doing anything to blend in. That's the problem. When that happens, then you get pockets like, how does, what's her name? Ilhan Omar become a congresswoman? Well, that's how. You've got radicals from Somalia that are moving to Michigan because it's allowed, and they're basically bringing their culture and not assimilating. And therefore, these communities are becoming overrun with ideology that is not in sync with America. You may disagree with that, right? You may say, well, good, let them come over here and let them bring their culture. You're racist for even saying that. Great, cool, label me one then. I really don't give a shit, quite frankly, because I think it's bullshit. I think you should be, if you're going to come here and you're going to live under the American society, you should be welcoming of it, you should be understanding of it, and you should be attempting to assimilate into it, to become a sane, sober, moral U.S. citizen. I mean, that's not a hard ask, guys. It's not hard. In my country, Greece, we have the same problem. I know. It's horrifying. In the UK right now, United Kingdom, like, we fought a war to get away from the United Kingdom, to break away because of oppression. Now they are oppressing their own people at an unprecedented rate. Somebody was arrested, I think 2 days ago, put up a post on Facebook saying that they didn't like, that they were just simply praying. A Christian man was praying. At 2 a.m. in the middle of the night, the UK police came and busted down his door and arrested him for posting a post on Facebook that he was praying. And he was thrown in jail for that. So if you think that that's okay, you should really just get your head checked, because that is not okay. It may be okay there because that's what the UK people voted for, right? I mean, not really. You've got mass migration coming in. Everyone's so afraid they don't want to be labeled a racist because they're just basically spineless jellyfish. They don't want to be racist. They don't want to be labeled a racist, so they allow all this mass immigration to come in. And then what happens? The immigrants don't want to assimilate into the society. They want to bring their ideology in. And if I'm not mistaken, it was just voted that Sharia law would be okay in the UK. The overwhelming majority of people that voted that Sharia law, a law that allows you to marry and have you know what with a child, a baby. There's no age limit, right? You can marry a 2-year-old if you wanted to. That mindset is just absurd, and to allow that to come into the country unfettered, unchecked, and just let it run rampant until the point where there's more of those people voting, there's more of those people who are enacting policy than there is the actual citizens that were born there. Well, then you have what's going on in the UK. You get arrested for saying you're simply saying a Christian prayer. They kick down your door in the middle of the night and they haul you away to jail because you're praying. Not to Muhammad or, Muslim Islam, but Jesus. This guy, right? That's complete bullshit. Okay? So, and it's happening all around the world. We just had somebody say that's happening in my country, Greece. It's not just Greece. It's France. It's Greece. It's Spain. It's the UK. It's all over. And it's happening here in America, in Dearborn, Michigan, right? That's the latest place that all of this shit's coming out from. These people can go back home. Get the fuck out of the country. Like, go back to where you came from if that's what you want to bring here. Because you're never going to assimilate. You're never going to be part of the culture. You reject the culture. You hate the culture. And, that's fine. Okay, you're allowed to do that. That's the thing. That's another reason why so many people want to move here, is because you're allowed to do that here. You're allowed to dislike the U.S. government, and you're allowed to speak about it. What you're not allowed to do, though, is take over an entire community, impose your ideology, and then kick people out who don't agree with you. Kick people out who have already been here for hundreds of years, that settled the community, that built the community, that want their children to have the same style of community. But yet all these new people that are coming in are overwhelming in population, so therefore they take over the area. And essentially, before you know it, you're living in a third world country because they don't want to assimilate. So it's total bullshit. It's ridiculous. But it's something that's happening and something that needs to be talked about. And a lot of people are too scared to talk about it because they think that they're going to be labeled some ridiculous name. Who cares? Like, when it comes to that stuff, who the fuck cares? Like, you can call me whatever you want. I don't care. I'm Latino. I am the American Latino, right? The internet's most base Latino. Okay, I can say that with confidence, and I'll debate anybody in that. Yes, thank you. Okay, so next topic. This will be the last topic for today, and then I'm going to get off here. But I'm gonna leave you with a solution of how we could kind of quell the temperature how we can kind of get back to some normalcy. So this will be the last topic. And guys, don't forget, I am the American Latino, right? I am Latino. So what state are you from? I'm from Connecticut. I live in a blue state, all right? Like I said, this weekend I'm going down to Yale University, Ivy League school, one of the premier eminent Ivy League schools. You got Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Brown, a couple of other Ivy League colleges. But I'll be going down to the campus and around the campus and talking to people. And if you want to check that out, I don't know if I'll be able to live stream here from TikTok, but I'll definitely be able to live stream on X. So go follow me on X. My Linktree links are all in my bio. So go there, subscribe to all my pages. And I might do YouTube. We'll see if I can get both. If I can get StreamYard working on a portable version, then I'll stream to all of the socials. But if I can't, then it's probably going to be live streamed on X or YouTube. We'll see. Probably X, because YouTube will probably stop the live if any violence happens, which I'm not anticipating any. I hope there isn't going to be violence, but lately we have seen violence coming from one side. Don't be fooled. It's coming from both sides. No, guys, it's overwhelmingly coming from the side that doesn't like what you have to say. The right wants us to speak. The right wants us to talk. We want to talk to people. We want to change their minds. Again, I said this in the live yesterday. People who disagree with you are not your enemy, right? People who want to murder you and kill your whole family, that's your enemy. But the people who simply just disagree with you, disagree with your ideas, have their own ideas, and think that they can potentially change your mind, that's not your enemy. Those are your friends. Those are your neighbors. Those are the people who, even though you disagree, you should be trying to change their mind, because they still can be saved. They still can come around to the idea of maybe the things that you're saying aren't bullshit. Maybe the things that you're saying are true, right? Maybe I should look into it a little bit more. Maybe the entire time that I've been espousing all these radical ideas, maybe I'm the wrong one. How do you know if you're the right one? I said this yesterday in the live. How do you know if what you think is true isn't true, right? How do you know? Antifa's convinced. Antifa is totally convinced that what they're doing is right, that political assassination in the name of some stupidity is justified, right? Well, there might be some teachings in a book that could probably give you a good outline for not being a shitty person, right? For being a better human being. There might be some people who are saying things that you could follow, that you could listen to, for being a better person and not being a shitty human being. What times am I? Every day, I'm going to try to go live every day, Tuesday through Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern time, possibly 12. I haven't quite figured out what the schedule is going to be. I'm playing with time, but the live stream for Yale is going to be at noon. So noon Eastern on this coming Saturday. I'll make some posts about it so you'll see. So you won't miss it. But anyway, not to get sidetracked. The last thing I wanted to talk about was this. I might come back tomorrow. Yeah, please do. Great. I appreciate it. Thank you. So I'll say this. The last thing I'll leave you with is this. Before we get into some possible solutions, Steven Crowder just came back with Change My Mind. He's the one who started it in 2016. He started going around to college campuses, talking to the youth. And the premise was, I'm going to talk to the opposition, and I'm going to attempt to change their mind by allowing them to talk and change my mind, right? So you come with facts, you come with your statistics, you come with your arguments and your beliefs, and we will have a civil, Socratic dialogue, and we will discuss and rationalize and reason our positions and see if we can change each other's mind. That's how dialogue has been done since pre-Jesus, right? Like that's the way it works, is you talk out your ideas and you see which ones people agree with. People agreed with Hitler and the Nazis, right? That doesn't mean that they were right? They were fucking wrong. But the problem is that you have people espousing bullshit And when you espouse bullshit and people believe it because you're convinced that you are doing the right thing, even though you've got multiple people that are giving you a guiding light to not do the wrong thing, then you amass a massive following of people who are blinded, people who think they're doing the right thing but really aren't, right? And that's why dialogue is so important, because you can change minds. We're not at the point yet where everything's completely lost and we can't change the other side's mind. We're still at the point, we haven't gone off the precipice. We're still at the point where we can still talk with each other and still potentially change their minds, right? That's why Steven Crowder's come back and he's doing Change My Mind again. However, he had to spend something like $260,000 to have enough security, enough bulletproof glass, enough undercover agents in the audience to not get murdered while going on a college campus to talk to people, to just simply discuss ideas. Not everybody has that ability, right? Not everybody has $250,000 to spend on security, because one side is going to essentially kill you for espousing opinion, right? That's ridiculous. I'm glad he's come back. I'm glad he's doing Change My Mind again. This guy right here took it to a whole new level. His version of it was called Prove Me Wrong, which I like even better. Change My Mind is great. It's a great name for it. But Prove Me Wrong is better in the sense that it's saying, come with your facts, right? Don't miss me with this opinion bullshit. That's cool. And it's great that we can discuss opinion. But prove me wrong that what I'm saying is not the truth is so much more powerful, because it comes with facts, right? It's not just conjecture. It's not just opinion. It's, I agree. Yes, I agree. No one should die because of their opinion. Rest in peace, Charlie. Amen. Yeah, it's terrible what happened, because he's just speaking his opinion and was murdered for it, right? He's not a political, he might have been a political figure in the sense that, yes, he was a conservative, but he was not an elected official, right? He didn't hold any office, was simply just a citizen going around that started TPUSA and was talking to college kids, college campuses, and the world. Not espousing anything terrible. I'm getting a warning that the live's going to end in 4 minutes. Okay, I had to do a little puzzle thing to keep it going. All right, so we'll end with this. But yeah, he wasn't espousing anything terrible, right? It's just simply giving his opinion and was gunned down for it. Okay, and if you think that's cool, get your head checked, because it's not cool. It's not funny. It's nothing that should be praised. Nobody should be thrilled that somebody was gunned down for speaking their opinion. I don't care what side of the aisle. I don't care if you're a radical leftist espousing your opinion. Nobody should be murdered for their opinion, right? It's just an opinion. That's why Prove Me Wrong was so important, because it was saying, come with your facts, right? Conjecture and opinion's good, but let's look at the cold, hard facts and prove that what I'm saying is wrong. So we're gonna leave you on this. The real topic that I wanted to get to, I know is going to cause a firestorm, and I'm sure it's going to get a lot of attention. But it's something that I truly believe in, and we'll do that next. We'll do that tomorrow. Tomorrow's live. So if you're interested in what I have to say for tomorrow's live, make sure you join. And I'll put up a little thing that you can subscribe to the reminder that if you click on it, it will remind you that I'm going live between 11 and 12. Hopefully 11, but we'll see. I'll leave you with a solution. Here's a solution. I heard Crowder say it. Fully agree with it. Where do we go? Where do we go from here? How do we get to a point where people aren't getting murdered for their opinions? Okay, here's two things, and then I'm going to close the live out. The first thing, we need people on the other side, regardless of what side, right or left. Primarily the left, because the left is primarily the ones doing the violence. We need the leaders to come out and say, guys, we've taken it too far. We're sorry. Tone it down. Stop the violence. Stop the murdering. Stop the killing. Stop the aggressiveness. Stop the attacks on ICE agents. Stop the attacks on people you disagree with. and let's bring the temperature down. Let's have civil dialogue and discussion, because we are still at the point that we can do that. We're not at the point, we are in civil strife period, but we're not at the point where we are in a civil war, right? We can still talk to one another and hopefully change each other's minds. So the leaders of the other side, and let's be real, the Democratic leaders need to come out and say that. They need to come out and denounce all of this ridiculous bullshit that's going on and bring the temperature down, okay? And I will say, yeah, it would be nice, and he has somewhat, but it would be nice if Trump would come out and again say, we need to tone the temperature down. We need to bring it all down. He has, to an extent, and I'm glad that he did that, but it needs to be full force, and it needs to be across the aisle, that all of them need to bring the temperature down. Okay, so that's one. The other thing is the leaders of these primarily Democrat cities, Democrat-run cities, need to do things like re-enable cash bail. If you commit a crime, 2 felonies, 3 felonies, 3-strike policy, right? 1, 2, 3. If you commit 3 violent acts, 3 felonies, you're not getting out of jail. You're staying there until your trial, and then you'll have your day in court. But this whole thing of you commit battery, you commit assault with a deadly weapon, and you're out that day, and you're able to go commit more crime, how the fuck? What? That does nothing. That does nothing except allow these dangerous people to see, I'm not going to get in trouble for what I did. Oh, well, I just attempted to kill somebody. Well, guess what? I get out, and I'm not going to be held accountable for it. Like, that's bullshit. Like, that needs to go away, right? That needs to go away, and there needs to be a more get tough on crime policy. And we need to hold these people accountable. They need to be thrown in jail and stay there. They'll have their day in court. They'll have their due process, okay? But we can't just have these people roaming the streets, killing people like Irina Zarutska, 15 times in prison, let out. What was the other guy's name? Oh, shit, it's right here. Oh, God. Okay, whatever. Dickey, 35 times arrested, 25 felonies. Should not have been let out, period. I don't care what anybody says. We don't care. We're sick of it. These people need to stay in prison until they get their day in court. Then they'll be judged. They'll have the fairness of the court. They'll have the ability to plead their case, and that'll be it. All right, so, whoa. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate it. I'm going to end the live now. Again, follow me on all socials. My links are in my bio. And I appreciate all of you. Whoa, 2,000. Holy smokes, 2,000. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next live.